Good evening. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Build Your Best Life with Coach Deborah D. Smith. You know, I believe it is better to train early rather than to try to fix later. So I am extremely happy to have you all here today on our Build Your Best Life talk. And my special guest is Naomi Bell, all the way from Dallas, Texas. Hi, Naomi.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Glad to have you. So, can
Amen.
you believe we are already in July? And I had a topic on Saturday from our
Mhm.
new theme, which is, and like I say, it's a mouthful, but it's strive for growth, optimism, action, life purpose, and self discipline, which
Amen.
is goals. So, that's what we're striving for this month. And so, today, our topic is going to be unstoppable
Mm.
because in life you have some places you want to go, some things you want to do, you want to see accomplishments. You
Mhm.
don't want to go, take one step forward and two back. You want to be on the move. So you have to have that mindset that, hey, I'm
Mhm.
going to see things getting done. So I'm going to be unstoppable. So that's what we're talking about today. Good evening, Dan. Thank you so much for tuning in. So we are going to get started. But Naomi, if you could first tell all our guests a little bit about yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Like Miss Deborah, Coach Deborah said, I am in the state of Texas where it's extremely hot right now, triple digits. And I have been a teacher for 23 years, and I teach speech, debate, competitive drama. Um, and I also own my own speech company called Friendly Conversations, where I teach speech, debate, competitive drama, social skills to kids from kindergarten to 12. And I also have a segment called Intrapersonal Coaching, where I teach and coach young adults and also kids how to talk better to themselves in order to have better outcomes in life. But most importantly, I'm a mom and a wife. I've been a wife for 23 years, and I have a recent high school graduate, Courtney Bell Jr., and yay, so proud of him. And I have a 15-year-old, Isaiah Bell. Yes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And for those of you who follow me, you know Courtney Bell. He's been
Mhm.
on several times. He was on the Men and Boys conference. He was one of our hosts, did an excellent job.
Mm.
And
Amen.
also we had his I don't know exactly what you call it, but would say his words, spoken words,
Spoken words. Oh,
identity
okay.
that he did for
Yeah.
us, which was so
Mhm.
good. And so you have
Amen.
probably met Mr. Courtney Bell Jr., and I know he's going to be doing wonderful things,
Amen. Amen.
more wonderful things. Yes.
Amen.
All right. So as we talk about this unstoppable
Mhm.
personality, we have seen news accounts where the spouse ran out and saw a car on their husbands, and they don't know where they got the strength from, but they were able to lift
Mm.
that car up and get it off of them. You have
Mhm.
a mom that'll jump in a body of water to save a child, not knowing how to swim, but they're going to save
Mhm.
their child. We have also
Mhm.
heard about even strangers hearing that there's somebody screaming in a burning building and they just run in to save them.
Mhm.
And so there can be limitations, but still, based on that adrenaline and wanting to do the right thing or what will help, they are not stoppable. They just keep going. I
Mhm.
have to get this done.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, Naomi, can you think of times when something was going on with one of your sons and you were unstoppable? You put on your parent hat and did what
Mhm.
you needed to do for the benefit of that child?
Yes, absolutely. Just I want to say too, the term unstoppable, that just does something in me. That's encouraging me. I gotta bring that up before I even say anything about my son. It's just when you go through life and you hear no, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, but something inside of you, and we know it's the Holy Spirit that just says, no, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You are unstoppable. You are the head and not the tail. You are above and not beneath.
That's
And you
right.
can do this as I've called you. I planted it in you to be unstoppable and
Yes.
unmovable. Always abounding in him. So I
Yes.
had to add that in there. So that just encouraged me. And as far as, like you said, mentioned, a mother will do anything for their child. I mean, giving birth is an unstoppable thing. You think you can't do it, and all of a sudden you do it. So there's so many things about being unstoppable that you don't realize, and sometimes you realize it in hindsight looking back. You're like, oh my gosh, I did that and I was unstoppable. As far as my sons, and I'm pretty sure that I will have other testimonies as they grow and learn too as well, but it makes me think about my youngest son. He My 15-year-old, who is on the autism spectrum, but certainly capable of doing all kind of amazing things, and he has proven time and time again that he is unstoppable himself. But one of the things, my husband and we made a decision to put him in private school, simply because of the fact that in the public schools they didn't recognize his gifts, his talents, and they just said, "Oh, he has all these little disorders here, disorders there. He is mentally disturbed." All these different things that they would say about him, and I'm like, "No, number one, as an educator, you know, I
Right.
have experience and I have worked with kids with learning differences and learning challenges, and you can't put limits on them. And I have always, as an educator, pushed the students I taught. There's no way I was just going to accept, oh, he's just this or he's just this label.
Right.
Yes, you may have some challenges, but you can get through it. And so I pushed. I had support from from family and from friends to get him where he needed to go. And it was a cost. It was a financial cost. It was a lot of extra jobs we had to take on, but we trusted God.
Right.
It was extra efforts having to get up early in the morning to get him where he needed to go. It was a lot that we all had to do to put in, but he's a straight A student now.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
And so I had to make some decisions. Me and my husband both like, well, we're gonna sue the district for all this illegal stuff. We're gonna do this. Well, no, and then God just said, don't worry about all of that. Pour whatever energy you have to fight in your child and doing for him.
All right.
And so I think that's my biggest example of fighting and doing what's best. Sometimes we fight the wrong things
Mm-hmm.
because that's Satan's job to get us all, well, this person said this or they said this, I'm gonna go after them. No,
Mm-mm.
it's not about them. It's about what you're going to do for your child, what you're going to do for your family.
That's right.
And that's what made us unstoppable. And that is why I can testify about the goodness of God in my family and with my kids.
Awesome. That is awesome testimony.
Mhm.
I love it.
Amen.
Yes, and that's what you have to do. You have to, regardless of what people say, what man
Mhm.
say,
Mhm.
you have to, do the best for that child or whatever. Because people,
Mhm.
I just don't understand. I know
Mhm.
when my youngest son was I think he was in second grade. He was at a private school, and he had been making good grades, standardized tests, they were good. And I just happened to not be going to work one day, and I walked him to his class, and the teacher says, "Oh, something's wrong with him."
Mm.
I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "I think he have epilepsy or something." I was like, excuse me, why you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Because he ran into the fire extinguisher. Okay, the fire extinguisher was on the wall, sticking out. He's a second grader walking down the hall and he
Mm-hmm.
bumped into it. Okay. And she said, then every day he falls down on the floor. I said, every day he falls down on the floor. What
Mm.
is he doing on the floor? Oh, he just fall out his seat on the floor. Yeah, he act just like my brother. He has epilepsy. I
Wow.
say, okay, I don't worry about it. I said, but
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you tomorrow when you see him, he won't be falling out the chair. I told him, I said,
Mm.
come here. I talked to him a little bit. I said, now do we
Yeah.
need to take a little trip out to the van? Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm all
Mm-hmm.
right, mama. You think he
Mm-hmm.
fell out the chair again? No, it's nothing wrong with him. But she just kept egging. And I had to go to the principal. Like, what is wrong with this lady?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, and I tried to get him moved out of her class, but we don't have anywhere to put him.
Mm.
And, but we looking at his standardized test, and
Mm-hmm.
he's above average on everything. I said, yeah, because there's nothing wrong with him.
Right.
She said he
Right.
couldn't hear either. And I'm in the van, and I'm up there whispering, Christopher, Christopher. And you're like, ma'am, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
something was wrong with her, but I left him in there. But I asked him, I said, is your teacher mean to you? Oh, no, she's nice to me. So as long as she wasn't
Mm-hmm.
mistreating him, I just left him right in there and he made all his grades. But, that's just the enemy. They will do things. There was nothing wrong with him, but for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason, she just going to label him, you know?
Right. And it I mean, this could be for another discussion, but it happens a lot to our African American male boys, because they, from elementary on, they only see one or two pathways for our children sometimes, and that is sports, and if they don't do well in sports, prison. And they don't understand or appreciate or take the time to learn how our kids learn. And what I've noticed as an educator, we move. Our kids like movement, um, and different things like that to learn. So and they're very expressive. Our kids are very expressive. So when you try to hinder that, or you're going to try to label them, or oh, you're not good at sports, then they don't emphasize the academics. And so that's where, when I come in as an educator, I've always put books in my kids' hands. I've always encouraged them to excel academically, because I know the statistics on male athletes getting into professional sports, but nobody talks about that. It's only 3%. Now, the majority of them are African American, but only 3% go into the profession. And then only a small percentage go into become doctors and lawyers. So you have to be unstoppable when it comes to that too, educating and advocating for our boys,
That's right.
girls too, but especially our boys, because they are academically capable.
Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and they get so overlooked. So yes, everyone on here,
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing, and that's why I don't care what I do, I'm going to continue to do this until God say I don't need you to do it
Absolutely.
anymore, because I see them, and just like you say, then the ones with the sports, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they push them along because they can play the sports, but then they don't try to teach them anything to go along with that. So they're
No.
there playing sports, making the money, but they almost can't read. They don't know how to manage their money.
Mm-hmm.
They're always getting in trouble, with drugs, this, that.
Mm-hmm.
So, we need a team of people working with our young men.
Absolutely. They can excel if they want to do athletics. That's great, but they
Yeah,
can excel athletically as well as academically.
that's right.
Hmm.
Awesome. Awesome. Good talk. Yeah, we got to do this again.
Yeah, yeah. That and Courtney is very passionate about that too.
Okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
for a good conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe two adults and a young man and a young lady. That would be
Hmm.
nice.
Hmm.
Okay. Good evening, Peggy. Thank you for tuning in. All right, as we talk about unstoppable, I think about the urgency. It's something to me that's, it's an urgent feeling. You have to be intentional about it,
Hmm.
and you have to be self-disciplined, because
Yes.
when you're unstoppable, you don't have time for somebody to come and tell you what to do or what they think you should be doing.
Hmm.
You have to be self-disciplined and ready to do those things. And as a parent, we don't only care about our goals, we also, as you were stating earlier, we got to ensure about the goals of our children as well. We don't just say, oh, mama's going to do this and mama's going to do that. No, what about
Mm-hmm.
kids? We got to make sure, God has left them in our hands to get them where they need to be. So we need to be
Mm-hmm.
working on keeping up with them. They're at the age, they're not, depending on how old they are, but they're
Mm-hmm.
more than likely not self-disciplined yet. So we have to, do for ourselves as well as them.
Mm-hmm.
So do you find yourself urgently working to monitor and achieve your purpose while doing the same thing for your children, and feeling again that nothing's going to stop you? Whatever you got to do, you can get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not always easy. I'm currently working on my doctorate. I'm in the dissertation phase. Yes, praise Jesus, help me, Lord.
Yes.
And I have high school. Well, one going to college now, but
Mhm.
they have both of them have their own set schedule of things that they need to do, academically as well as extracurricular goals and aspirations and deadlines, as well as I do too. So it's, along with my husband, he has things that he wants to do. So it's not only just juggling me and my stuff that I do, is the kids and my husband. So one thing I know though, it's a juggling act, and I have to have that time where I take care of me. I can't get so to the point where I'm doing everything or checking in on them, and I'm not checking in on me. Because I
Right.
know if I fall to pieces and fall apart, then a lot of things are going to start falling apart. So
That's
I
right.
have to have that time where I say, okay, I'm going to take care of A, B, and C. And they know when I'm taking care of A, B, and C, like right now, I'm doing this session. They know this is something that I have to do. So they're going to leave me alone. They're going to respect that. And so, excuse me, let me get a sip of water real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So, the best thing I realized that works for me is I have to have a schedule. And I have to have a list. Like I have a calendar right here next to me on the wall. I have it on my phone because there's so many things that we have to keep up with.
That's right.
And it takes some trial and error, because sometimes I don't always get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I forget, even though I write it down. But it is very important to keep that schedule and keep them to the point where they start realizing, oh, so like my prime example is helping Courtney with his scholarship applications, and assisting him and guiding him to make sure that he gets everything done. And that's a very tedious task, right? But once he got the scholarship, okay, because he got a full ride, like everything is paid for, praise Jesus, from his room, board, books, tuition, everything. It started like something in him clicked. And it's almost like I was able to now pass the baton. Now I don't have to get on him every 5 minutes about, did you do A, B, and C? Now it's already ingrained because he saw me having a schedule. He saw me having to meet deadlines. He saw me doing it for myself, and then he
Mm-hmm.
saw me assisting him. So now, like today, he came in and was like, "Oh, Mama, I passed my AP exam test. I went and checked. I have this, so now I have to turn this in." So now he is doing the things without me having to tell him. Now it's a works in progress, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm talking about, being unstoppable, because it was like pulling teeth.
Right.
But you have to fight through all that, and you have to be real consistent about it, and showing, because you have to show how, and because they're watching you, so you have to show them what you're doing, then you have to help them do their stuff, till eventually they can do it on their own, and that
That's
makes you unstoppable, and you have to do it with a sense of urgency.
that's right.
Hmm.
That's right. And you said the magic word when you say, and they are watching you.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
you can't be sitting around lax like, oh, shoot, I forgot. that was due yesterday. I
Yes.
gotta work on. No, then they're gonna do the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's no big deal. I get it done when I
Mm-hmm.
get it done. But they have a
Mm-hmm.
good example. They see in the tools that you're using,
Mm-hmm.
what you had to do to stay on top of everything. And so, especially, I guess, Courtney at his age, he's moving from that discipline to that self-discipline
Yeah,
himself. Yeah, so that is great.
absolutely. And one thing for me, I keep saying this, and it took me a few years to kind of realize it, but it's something that I teach to my students as a teacher, to have that discipline, to be unstoppable. So if I'm teaching that to somebody else's child, I can't leave my own kids out.
That's right.
So the same things that I am doing, I bring it home. And lo and behold, if they don't receive it well enough from me, I am not jealous. I will send them to somebody else then that may show them the same thing, but they receive it, because I believe one person plants, the other person waters. It's okay as long as they get it the way God intends for them to get it.
That's right. And there speaks a wise woman. It takes more than one person a lot of
Yes.
times, because they think, well, my mom, okay, she's
Hmm.
just regular mom,
Hmm.
but somebody else, they can say the exact same thing, use the exact same words. It's like, oh, okay, well, Miss Flower said that, okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think my mama mentioned something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they get
And
it.
they come with the revelation, Mom, guess what? And they say da 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 da, and I'm like,
Mhm,
oh, that praise God.
mhm. Yes, they'll get it by and by.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. Good evening, Agnes and Deacon Holmes. Thank y'all for tuning in. Glad to see y'all today. Naomi, as I was preparing for this is interesting. I don't know if you remember the movie Unstoppable with Denzel Washington.
I think a little bit. A
Yeah.
little bit.
So
Mm-hmm.
that was where, it was based off a true story where the guy uh, got off the train and he forgot to put the
Yeah.
brake on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the train
Mm-hmm.
starts moving and they can't
Mm-hmm.
catch it. So Denzel and the guy he's training, they find out
Mm-hmm.
what's going on, and even though it wasn't their baby, it wasn't their mistake.
Mm-hmm.
They were just unstoppable. So
Mm-hmm.
along with Denzel and the guy he's training, and this young lady, she's in the office, so she's got all these
Mm-hmm.
naysayers and people telling her, that's not going to work, and that's not going to work, and it's not going to work. But between Denzel talking to her and they're going back and forth, they were just unstoppable. They had plan B, and if plan B didn't work, they would shift to plan C, but they kept
Mm-hmm.
going. They were going to make sure, because they knew if that train was
Mm-hmm.
not eventually slowed down, it was going to either kill a bunch of people or,
Mm-hmm.
release fumes or whatever, but it was going to end badly. So they just did everything. And to me, because it took a lot of things. They did some critical thinking. They planned. They had
Mm-hmm.
a backup
Mm-hmm.
plan.
Mm-hmm.
It was dangerous. It had injuries, but they kept going for the betterment of somebody else. And sometimes, if it's for somebody else, we'll do it a little bit harder. But I happened to be watching that movie, and I was like, "Hey, that goes with my theme,
Mm-hmm.
unstoppable." But
Right.
it's just that
Right.
simple or complicated, however you want to look at it. So
That's beautiful.
yeah. So, does life ever take
Mm-hmm.
you into that, a similar situation as that runaway train? Something is
Mm-hmm.
going haywire. And if
Mm-hmm.
you cannot get it managed or get a hold to it, uh, you just got to work through this situation. But it looks like it's this runaway
Mm-hmm.
train. But hey, I know I've got to get in front of this.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Yes. Um, so is that the one where we talking about that train? I remember the movie now when you mentioned it. And when I think about that, it makes me think about a couple of things. Number one, Joshua 1:8, and meditating on the word. and focusing on what God says about you and trusting Him, okay, day and night. Because a lot of times when you talked about the training, it made me think about life and how we have great things happening most of the time and not so great things happening at the same time. So it's like almost like tornadoes all around you, right?
All right.
And so what keeps us grounded? What keeps us grounded, unstoppable, unmovable when all these things are doing this all around us? And that is number one, that is God. Meditating, focusing, and then he says he will make our way prosperous. We will have good success. So being unstoppable and unmovable and so focused on the word well, then in return, when all of this is going on, then you'll start seeing manifestation in the natural.
Natural.
So that's one thing that I have always told my sons. Joshua 1 and 8. And then we go, when you get the Joshua 1 and 8, then you get to the Joshua 1 and 9. That he gonna be with you wherever you go. So even if you move locations, okay, and then it might be some more other things coming, he's still there. It is the word of God that keeps you and motivates you to be unstoppable. Even when you feel like you can't do it, I can't do it no more, I'm about to lose it. That word comes in, we keep meditating on it, keep going. That's how, in my opinion, people end up having just the most amazing strength. And I've had coworkers say, "Oh, Belle," they call me Belle. "I don't know how you do all of that. How you do?" And sometimes I think back, I was like, I don't know how I did it either, but I know now.
Yes.
Is God. And that is what I encourage other people about. They'll know Joshua 1 and 8, Joshua 1 and 9, or Joshua, 1, 8 through 9.
Mhm.
That's my favorite ones to tell my children and to anybody I meet right there, because that is going to give you the strength to be unstoppable.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff there.
Mhm. Amen. Amen.
Right. It is essential to strive for better, to reach your goals, to be the best you can be, and ensure the same for your minor children. So,
Mhm.
Naomi, please give us some tips on achieving success by doing what's necessary to reach your goals and be the
Mhm.
best you can be, along with confirming the same for your children.
Okay.
On
Well,
how-
that yeah, like that first one is that Joshua 1 1 8 through 9. Meditate on that word. Um, Always focusing on that and realize that God is with you wherever you go. That you never alone. Because especially our boys need to know that they are never alone. And I grew up as a child around girls. We didn't have very many boys, right? So then when I got married and my husband was like, "Oh, I believe in God, I just want boys." I'm like, "No girls." So that's how it happened. Okay, the Lord answered his prayer. Praise the Lord. But what I realized with having my boys is that they hurt, they feel, they have insecurity, they have the same things that we as girls have. They may not express it the same way, but they want the same thing. And that's one of the things they need to know, is that they're not alone, and that they have someone to help guide them, to help them, and to never feel afraid to ask for help.
That's right.
So that has been one of my number one things, as far as I have shared with my kids, is don't be afraid to ask for help. So I would encourage any adult or any parent or anybody that's mentoring, uh, especially young African American males, is to be open and free with them so that they feel comfortable with you to ask for help. Be careful about Judging. You want to have that open dialogue going with them, and so that you don't shut them down. And sometimes it's easier said than done, because sometimes I'll hear something, I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear that. I don't want that. No. But if they're talking to you, that means they trust you.
That's right.
And you don't ever want your kids to shut down. You always want your kids to be able to come to you. So that's one thing. Listening. That's another thing. Listen to them. Don't be so quick to provide an answer. Listen to them. Eh, I'm not always perfect with that, because I am mom, and mom always wants to give them a solution, give them an answer, give a remedy if something hurting them. But sometimes they just want you to listen. And a lot of times they may just be, kind of venting and processing themselves. And through that, they may come up with their own solution, that the Holy Spirit is guiding them.
That's
We
right.
have to trust that God is working in them, just like He working in us. So I think that's my biggest thing, as far as um, helping my kids to be unstoppable, and is to be able to listen to them, be open, and that Joshua 1:8 through 9.
All right, y'all heard that, Joshua 1:8 through 9. And listen, don't try to do all the talking.
Mhm.
We have, as parents or educators, leaders, we have experience and we know things, but times do change.
Mhm.
And it doesn't hurt you to listen. You listen, you like pick up some
Mhm.
things that you have really been missing, and you
Yes.
need that to help your child. If we do all the talking, we really don't know what's going on with them. And if they think that
Mhm.
we're not going to take the time to listen, why should they waste their time talking to us? They go talk to somebody else who we don't want them talking to, about important things. So
They'll
that,
go to that internet.
yep, yep. So we want them talking to us. Uh,
Mhm.
and then, what was another one? Don't judge them, whatever they're coming to you with, whatever it is, you can't judge. They may be coming to you telling you that they've been experimenting with drugs, or they've been experimenting with something else. Do you want them to do that? No. Do you want to know? Yes.
Mhm.
So you can't have them afraid. Well, she gonna hit me. Then she gonna say this. She gonna say that. I'm not gonna tell her. And then they
Mhm.
get further and further into that type of life. So you can't judge them. You can tell me whatever it is that you feel like you want to talk to me about. You're my child. I'm gonna love you regardless. Not
Mhm.
gonna tell you right from wrong.
Right.
I'm gonna love you regardless. That's what you want to do.
Mhm. Absolutely. And it'll make a difference, because, like I said, that internet and that YouTube and everything else, the social media, they will pour stuff in your kids' heads, and it's not always of God. And some of those sites profess to be Christian and preach, but it's not always right. So, and I can tell you that I'm so happy that we do have conversations in our house where we talk about it and say, well, what did you watch here? Who was the person that you listened to? Who was the Christian speaker online? And let's see how this um, goes with the Word of God, because a lot of times they'll get caught up that, and we've experienced that in our house where we've had to have some conversations. But if they were not open to it, if we didn't have that open conversation and dialogue going, it could have went a different route.
That's right.
So yeah.
That's good stuff. Okay,
Mhm.
and then another one was don't be afraid to ask for help. And that is one
Yes.
thing that's one of my pet peeves. I don't care if it's younger children, teenagers, young adults, and adults.
Mm-hmm.
Being afraid to ask. If you don't know, you don't know. You can't better yourself if you don't know.
If you don't know.
Well, I'm the only one that don't know, so I'm not gonna ask. If somebody
Mm-hmm.
sitting there, they don't know either, but they're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
ask. Ask the
Mm-hmm.
question. Find out. You want
Right.
to know when you make a decision that you're making that based on facts,
Mm-hmm.
the right information. And if you don't know, you ask. Never be afraid to ask.
Mm-mm. That's it.
I'm
That's
sure
it.
gonna ask questions.
That's right. I have an example of that when I was there was this job opportunity at a university, and I was like, oh, I think I can, should apply for that job. And I called someone to speak to them about it. And she was like, well, yeah, you might be a good fit. Why don't you send me your Vita or Vitae or something? She said, I can't even remember what it was some kind of curriculum Vita or something. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. I'm thinking to myself, and I was like, should I ask her what that Vita, what is that? What exactly what that is? Or will I look unintelligent to her to ask her that with the Vita, whatever it was? I can't remember. But so I was like, no, I'm just going to ask her. I'm going to be brave enough to ask. And I asked, and she started laughing. She says, I just found out what that was last week. She says, it's just your resume.
Okay, because I sure didn't know what it was. I was waiting for you to tell me.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I was not afraid to to eventually, well, I fought. I was unstoppable. And I fought that insecurity to ask, what is that?
All right.
So that's true. Don't be afraid. And we need to teach our kids not to be afraid to ask,
All right.
you know. And one of the reasons people are afraid is because of the response they'll get from others. But you still got to keep going. You can still keep going. I've had another example with my speech and debate kids because I do teach at a Title I school, and teaching them and showing them debate, they have to kind of catch up because their competition, they start in kindergarten. And then I get them as sometimes freshman and sophomore. So they have a lot of stuff that they need to catch up on. So one time they went to a tournament and they were competing against a school that was richer, and they were trying to network, and they were asking questions, well, what is this for that? And they were like, well, what school are you from? And they told them the school, and they were like, oh, that's why you don't know, and walked away.
Hmm.
And my student, instead of her being stuck in that, she just went on to the next person until finally somebody networked with her, and she was able to do what she needed to do. That's what I believe in teaching my kids. So not only speak up, but if you get rejected, you just keep going, because eventually someone is going to help you.
That's right. That's right. Someone is assigned to help you, so you keep
Mhm.
going till you find that person.
Right.
Don't give up.
Absolutely.
Great, great, great information. Is there any thing that you want to leave with them that you can think of that would be something that you want to mention?
I'm The biggest thing that I can say is that if you're trying to do something for yourself to, and like I said, I'm working on my doctorate. That's a journey. If you're trying to raise kids, if you're trying to lose weight, which that's another thing on my list I'm trying to do, help Lord, anything that you're trying to do, don't think of it as it has to be perfect or an all or nothing. Because when you start thinking of it as trying to be perfect or all or nothing, that's where the unstoppable stops, because we're not perfect. And that even the mistakes that you make along the way, they're teaching us and they're training us to be unstoppable. Because it's like, oh, that's what I need to look for if this happens. Or that's what I need. Oh, so next time I can do this with that. So never ever leave yourself some wiggle room to
Mm-hmm.
make mistakes because we're all learning. And learning is about making mistakes. And God already knows that we're going to make some mistakes. And He still says, I'm there. Joshua 1 8, 8 and 9. I'm still there with you along the way, even in the mistakes, even when it doesn't go the way you plan. And sometimes on our journey, like I said, it the plans that we make may not end up being the finished product.
That's right.
So we still have to be prepared for that and trust God in that process too. That it's not always going to be the way we think, but it's going to be the way it needs to be. And it's going to be beautiful. That finished product is going to be beautiful. And a lot of times we only see it in hindsight looking back.
That's
Like,
right.
oh, this was so great. So that's where you have to um, meditate on that word because it's a faith thing. It's a faith thing. You're trusting that it's going to be great in the end. And then when we do get there, it's hindsight where we see, yeah, we did
Got that done.
it. Yeah.
That's good because you know, you look for something to go one way,
Mm-hmm.
and that way may be the smoothest path, or it may be the rockiest path, where
Mm-hmm.
God comes around
Mm-hmm.
the other way and does something different, and it still works out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're not talking about tithing, but like I normally talk about this when we're talking about the importance of tithing. But when we had our house built in 2007, and so I knew exactly what I wanted, from
Mm-hmm.
everything. Now I lost my mind when I went to the interior place. We do all that. Lost my mind, but I knew what I wanted. So we did that. So there was a couple things that we did. I mean, the people did that we saw because we would come out just about every day or every other day. And so we saw a couple things we didn't like, and we told them about that. And so I just, got upset. Well, as we were praying, that this is the right house and we make the right decisions and we do this and this and this. Well, my husband kept praying for $100,000. And I kept thinking to myself, $100,000? Where is he going to $100,000 from? Okay, now he know he's praying about me. I don't care what happened. He kept praying for that. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so we told him we didn't want the house anymore. Got our deposit back and went somewhere else. Put a deposit down on that house. Our financial advisor said, don't get that one. Don't get that one because they were promising all these amenities like swimming pools and all this. He said they're
Mm-hmm.
not gonna have all that stuff. They're not gonna put it there. Don't do that either. So that was like, oh my goodness. So I said, well, you need to go to the first house and get our money back. So he was like, okay. So the day he went to get the money back, the salesman was at the model, and he said, come in, I want to show you something.
Mm-hmm.
So they had put the house that I built, I created everything, all the colors, everything. They had put it up for sale because nothing they told me that they would give me a place of anything that I was dissatisfied with. It wasn't good enough for me. So they put
Mm-hmm.
it up for sale. They had marked the house down $100,000. And so somebody else said we can put a contract on the house. So hey,
Wow.
look how
Look
God
at
worked
God.
it out.
He does. Man, He will do it. He will do it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And it's exactly what you wanted.
Right. Yep.
That is just amazing. And that's how He works.
But
That's how He
I wanted everything perfect. So I see this
works.
little hairline, something right. I'm not gonna get the house because I don't want that. So everything's not
Right.
gonna be perfect.
Right. It's not, but it's going to be perfect for you. How
Right.
God designed it.
Yes.
It's going to be perfect for you. And it's like we can't even imagine how God is going to orchestrate it and do it for us. Like even our little thoughts, He says our ways are not like His ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. So even if we think of it as something great in our mind, it's going to be greater than that.
Yes.
So that's why we have to hold on. We have to hold on. But when He gives us the green light to go, You better. Toy Story, from Toy Story. My kids used to watch Toy Story and say, like, run like the wind, bullseye. When God gives you that green light, you go and you don't be unstoppable. You just keep going and going. And I'm telling you, it's going to work out. You might get some bumps and bruises along the way, but it's okay.
Yes, it is.
Hmm.
Definitely. Well, this has been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And we're gonna have to get back together.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
and I know, and maybe you don't do it this way, but I know you mentioned that you do have your own business
Mhm.
where you teach. If you want to mention, how people can reach you, that would be great.
Yes, I am on Facebook under Friendly Conversations, Naomi Bell. And like I said, it's intrapersonal coaching to help develop your communication skills. How you talk to yourself affects your whole entire life. It determines whether or not you're going to finish that doctorate or you're going to be all but dissertation, a lot of other things. Also, public speaking classes for K through 12 and adults too, as well. Social skills for young adults, kids on the autism spectrum, etc. But it's at Friendly Conversations on Facebook.
Great, 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 great. So
Mhm.
y'all heard that friendly conversations, Naomi Bell on Facebook. So if I don't know if you do anything virtual, but
Yes, we
please.
do. We do virtual classes as well as face to face.
Okay,
Yes.
that's great. So
Mhm.
if you need the assistance, and she sounds like she's been doing this for 23 years, so I
Mhm.
think she got it. And we've heard her tonight, and all this information was amazing. So please reach out, or please share her information if you know someone that could benefit. And thank you all so much for tuning in today. You could have been anywhere else, so we appreciate
Amen.
you tuning in to Build Your Best Life. Please join us on Thursday. We'll be talking about life management. Life management. So
Mhm.
I look forward to seeing you then. Please visit my website, which is www.buildyourbestlife.org. It's www.buildyourbestlife.org. On there, you can get my calendar of events. You can read my blog that comes out each Monday. You can see my coaching services and my store, which is coaching, consultation, speaking, webinar speaking, and you can get a copy of my book, Build Your Best Life. I have them in stock, so you get your autographed copy right away. If you prefer the Kindle version, Amazon.com. But again, thank you so much. If you're on here for the first time, please like my page. We appreciate all comments, and share, share, share. And I know that you must know someone that can benefit from what we talked about tonight. So
Mhm.
please share. I would greatly appreciate that. Now, as you go on your way to being a better you, there will be, and we talked about this tonight, rough
Mhm.
terrain, detours, pit stops. Don't let any of those negative aspects of your journey stop you. Though
Mhm.
they may slow you down, be unstoppable.
Yeah.
And keep working to be a better you so that you can build your best life. And remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan, it's our commitment. I love you. Be blessed. Stay safe. And I will
Yeah.
hope to see you on Thursday. Bye bye.
Bye.